Welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. I'm your host. This is a show all about life coaching and how to create a maximum value for yourself through a life coach or from the simple willingness to be open to all possibilities. We're doing a series called Helping You Reach Your Full Potential. And in a few minutes, we're going to get into a live coaching session and get a peek into being open and honest in our dialogue about how to open up possibilities. And hopefully we can create some interpersonal breakthroughs, some powerful aha moments, some realizations so that we all walk out of here more enlightened, more aware, getting more clarity about where we want to go, or maybe even some of the things that are getting in our way or where we're stuck. I think that's valuable. I don't know about you, but for me, that's valuable to be able to have a powerful dialogue with somebody rather than talking about like who won the game last night, right, and surfacey things. Not that that's not, appropriate when it's time to hang out.
That's entertainment.
When it's time
life.
When it's time to do those things, when it's Friday night or Saturday night. But what about the times that we get to just stop and take a look at ourselves and regroup, whether it's a Monday morning getting ready for the week or a Sunday night where we get to just kind of look at ourselves and look at, all right, what's a new direction for me? Where can I go from here? So we're going to do that in a few minutes. But before we get into the live coaching session, I want to talk about what it means to be coachable and talk about some of the golden nuggets. And the first one for me is that you got to be open-minded. You can't be rigid. You can't have this fixed mindset. But you got to be open to the possibility that anything is possible. And when you're open to that anything is possible, even if you can't see it yet, now you can open yourself up for a breakthrough. The next thing is you got to be self-aware. You got to be willing to look at yourself. You got to look inwards and, stop or shut down or dismantle the mechanism where we've trained ourselves to constantly look outside of us and say, well, what about you? Or why are you doing this? Let's start focusing in going, what about me? How do I play a part in this? Or what can I change about it? What can I do within myself? So you got to be willing to look in. And then the last thing is that you got to be willing to surrender some old limiting beliefs, possibly some old conditioning or things that you could be carrying in from your past, like limiting beliefs or fears or doubts or any other insecurities that could be getting in your way. With that being said, we have one of my good friends, Ellen Como. She is a fitness expert and an entrepreneur, and you're up to creating some amazing things. I want to thank you for taking the time to come hang out with me in the studio.
I wouldn't be any other way.
I appreciate
It's like the perfect place for me to be.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So what do you want to talk about today? Like where do you want to get in and just have a discussion, a dialogue to create value?
Yeah, I wanted to start with just something before that. Like you said, fitness. I'm a fitness expert, and when you're an expert at things, sometimes it's really hard to turn it around and become the student. And, that's such a hard thing to do. Like today, when I walk in with Alex with coaching, I'm used to being the coach. So now you have to be able to flip it around and become the coachable. So yeah, so I just want to put that out there for someone when you are going, because you're talking about what makes you coachable. What makes you coachable is be able to take off whatever hat you wear during the day and put on your student cap. So I just wanted to, to add that in, because that's almost why I'm just being authentic. While I'm sitting here, I literally had to tell myself, Ellen, you're not an expert here today. You're here to learn. You better take your ego, take all that, throw it behind you, and you need to be a student today, and you need to be open and authentic with all of this, and you need to be able to take in what I'm going to hear. I'm not the one that's the expert here. So when you walk in with a coach, you've got to be able to just get rid of that. And so I just want you to know.
Leave it at the door.
Yeah, and I'm just saying this out loud because we are on the air, and I want people to hear that before I even start with you. That there's that barrier of a moment where I go, everything, take all that off, and now I'm ready, and let's get to work.
I'm glad you said that, because most of us as human beings, we are the expert of us. So forget
we think we are.
Well, and even in the thinking that we are doesn't allow us to be the learner.
Yes.
The lifelong learner, the student that can take in and absorb and learn more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so today I came with a couple ideas, but we're going to go for the one that's the hardest for me to bring out into the light in a public setting, and that's why I'm doing it, because Talk about courage. We have to be courageous in everything we do.
Absolutely.
So, and if anything that I say right now helps somebody else, that's good. The other one was kind of like it was a fluffy one, and I was protecting myself, right? I didn't want to come and just throw everything down, and so I had to get rid of the expert. I had to get rid of the fluffy. Let's get down to the stuff that was really uncomfortable, so we can make some changes.
Absolutely.
And that's part of when you go into a coaching with somebody, with Alex, that when you're getting coached, you need to be able to do that right away. And the faster you do that, the faster you're going to get some work done. So
I love it.
Yeah.
And I promise to also get down and dirty and reveal and open up, because I feel like, if I'm expecting my clients to be open and vulnerable, I need to go there too, right? And I get to take my expert hat off and just be real. Let's just be real.
I think that being real.
Yeah.
And let's if the expert hat is on and getting in the way, let's take it off. So I could take it off and just bring my wisdom. So I could just show up with wisdom. I don't have to have expert, or we don't have to even put ourselves in that box. But let's just come together and brainstorm some ideas.
So enough. No stalling. I was not stalling, honestly.
All right.
Okay. So I am a older, single, divorced woman, and that's a lot of labels I just put on myself. But, it's kind of a group that really there's not a lot of mentorship for women like this. And we're kind of shoved under the carpet in a lot of ways. And getting out and dating again at our age, our kids are grown. We have time now. We're older. The kind of relationships we're looking for now are so much different than when we were younger. And you're putting yourself out there and you're dating, and, you go through this phase first that Alex worked with me of learning to love myself. Okay, so you're not loving yourself in an arrogant way, but loving yourself in a value way. There's differences.
So interesting how, because I had the same issue as you did, as far as we don't know. It's like we have to validate ourselves and love ourselves, and after we say that, we have to say, but not in an arrogant way.
Right.
It's so interesting how limiting our belief system is, that we would have to validate on any level loving yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's because narcissism has become such a big buzzword right now, and narcissism is all about loving yourself. So there's a healthy way to love yourself, and there's an unhealthy way. And I think it's like on the spectrum, like Alex and I talk about, if you're over here loving yourself, you're loving yourself over everything else, that's not healthy. If you're in that middle, because we always want to strive for the middle, then that's a healthy balance of having value. I even like, more than saying love myself, I like having value in who I am as a woman and a human being. I love that word more. That's the word I kind of tell myself, learning how to value myself. Because if I can't value myself, no one else can, right? So in valuing myself, I find that I don't have a lot of patience in dating. And I see red flags, and Alex knows this immediately. I see red flags, boom, 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 and I'm out. So, now I've worked really hard to get to this place, but I also don't want to get to a place where it becomes unhealthy, saying a little flag, I'm out. We're all human and we're all broken. We are. So how do you healthily, in a healthy way, navigate that?
I'm assuming your question is, how do you navigate through noticing the red flags when they come up, and then not noticing to the point where it's so unhealthy that nobody's right for you or good enough for you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So I want to acknowledge you first for being willing to look at it, because the first step is the awareness. So it's being willing to look and notice that, hey, maybe there's a good possibility that I'm noticing too many red flags and some good quality people. And because of that, I'm not allowing myself to give them a chance. So I think it's first in the awareness. The question I want to ask you is, when you're noticing the red flags, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you think of when you're noticing somebody has too many red flags?
Just, I'm out, done. I just shut down. At that point, there's not much they could do or say after that. I've already made my mind up.
Okay. Now, when the red flags come up, are the red flags like deal breakers, or are you noticing that they're just things that could take some patience and some tolerance and some compassion on your part?
And a conversation.
And conversation. Well, see, I came from a place where I gave everybody second, third, fourth, and fifth chances, and that's what led me down some really unhealthy roads in relationships. So, because of that, now how do you navigate that middle? And so I really struggle with that middle. So it could be a red flag, but now I look at, that's a red flag that can turn into. That's a red flag that can turn into, that's a sign of this. That's a sign of that. So that's where my brain goes right away. And then, and it could be just where I am in life, but it's literally my intuition, my instincts just almost does this like hands up, 2 hands up. And I just, at that point,
it's over.
Shut down.
Yeah. So what I'm going to say next, I want you really to hear this. There's a part of you that when you're in this one-on-one or on a date, you're either in your head or in your heart. And you can't be in 2 places at once. It's like trying to sit and stand at the same time. So you have to decide that when you go on a date that you're going to come from either your head or your heart. If you're in your head, you're going to have a lot of fear that's going to be coming up. And you're going to have to decipher what's the fear and what's not. If you come from your heart and you trust that in your heart is wisdom and insight and trust that part of you, you're able to hang in a little bit longer. You're able to course correct it. You're able to have a little more compassion, a little more understanding. And then you're able to go down the road where your capacity is a little bigger. You can handle a little bit more than when you're in your head. When you're in your head, it's almost like the fear is like you're looking for the one reason to go, that's it, I'm out. Rather than your heart's like, no, hang in there and give him a chance. Hang in there. Hang in there. And, not all, he might be lost, broken, hurt little boy, but there's a good, loving,
an amazing human being.
Yeah. There's a huge heart in there that maybe just needs a little bit of love. Maybe just needs somebody to believe in him, or maybe. So it's more about, I want you to think about more from where my come from is when I'm going on these dates. Am I coming from my heart, or am I in my head trying to go down the checklist to see if they are matched up with what I need?
I'm coming from a place. I'm coming from a place that's like, here we go again. Let's just get this over with. That's literally how I'm walking into it at this point.
That's honest.
And now,
That's
but when
really
you're saying,
honest.
But when you're saying that, is that already walking in the door, or it's already in a 10-minute conversation?
I was driving my car. I mean,
she's getting ready.
I'm not even there yet. Going, why am I even wasting my time? It's just going to turn out like every other date. And
so you have
I've already
preconceived notion.
I'm putting that mindset out there. Yes.
All right. Well, you've already shot yourself in the foot.
Like every time.
Before you even get out onto the field, it's like you put on the cleats that are too small for you, and you're wondering why your feet are hurting. You're not running fast enough, and you're not effective.
Why you just want to get home and take it off.
Yeah, you're not effective in the game because you already are coming from the place of, why bother? This guy doesn't. You're already looking for all the reasons why he's not the guy, rather than looking for all the reasons why he can be the guy. So, I mean, we got to really look at your before you even get out onto the field, before you start stretching. Like, do you even want to play the game or not? So for me, it's like maybe you're not ready then to date yet. Maybe you still need to do some more work on it. Yeah, absolutely. Of course it is.
Totally okay.
Of course it is.
Not in a place.
And for those women that are listening and they're experiencing what you're experiencing, so then it opens up the possibility that maybe you still need to do some more healing and some more self-love and self-acceptance to where you get to a solid foundation where you can go from here, man, I'm shining, I'm sparkly, and now the right guy that's out there, he's going to notice me, and I'm ready now. So it could be that, you got to do some cleanup work. Let's take a time out. Because what I've noticed is a lot of single people, they jump from relationship to relationship. They don't really stop long enough to do some healing and to love themselves and go through that process of, or even grieving all the other past relationships. We just go from what's next to what's next, and there's a lot of loose ends, right? Like for women, you guys have on the ends of your hair, you guys trim it, right? Because why?
Dead ends.
Dead ends. Let's get rid of all the dead ends so we can create the new healthy hair to grow back again.
And with the work that you and I have done, plays in this too, is it's really hard to
challenging
challenging. I'm still learning the words. Challenging to release. So all the relationships that did not bear fruit for you, have you released them, or are they all up there hanging around in the tree?
Honestly, that part I have walked through and I've done a lot of work with. And I think, and I would say I'm about 98% released everything. What I've held on to was all those times I gave people the benefit of the doubt. And by giving them the benefit of the doubt, I sold parts of me out. So this doesn't have anything to do with them. This was, that fine line of meeting somebody in the middle, loving them through their brokenness, but now they're turning over to the point where it's becoming unhealthy and toxic. So that is the part, and I think that is why, as far as the value and the love that I have for myself and me being shiny, I'm solid with all of that. I truly am. The part that I struggle with is that what is that fine line, and how do I know it's not going to flip again? Like,
you don't trust it. You don't trust that situation.
I don't, because my stories I've made up, or actually the reality that I've been faced with, has told me differently.
Right. And everything you're describing is all in your past.
All in my past.
It's got nothing to do with what is in the current moment.
Exactly.
So this is a great example of what it looks like to look at how our past can taint the present moment of unlimited amount of possibilities for Prince Charming to walk into your life and just look in your eyes and go, oh my God, I've been looking for you for my whole life. And you go, yeah, you know what? From my last, relationship, I'm not feeling it, And so you could literally just be, tainting all these opportunities for you to create something extraordinary because we keep dragging our past with us. And so what would it look like if you're able to spend some time healing the past and completing the past and surrendering the past, such that you actually let it go, and it frees you up to be in this present moment, co-creating this new reality with whoever is standing in front of you that is adoring you and wants to spend some time with you and wants to start, slow and create something, possibly a friendship, and then that can sprout into, a loving relationship.
Which, I'm very comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. Well,
because I spend more time, on the weekends on my sofa with Netflix and my two dogs, and I'm very happy to be there.
Yeah.
I've become my favorite person to spend time with.
Yeah,
I really
your own
have.
best friend.
Nothing
wrong with that.
I have really become that. And to the point where even Alex is kind of getting a little, get out a little bit, So that's why I started Other Passions. I started creating these other passions of where I could be useful and things that are in my heart that I want to really go out and do in the world that if I was in a relationship, I probably wouldn't have time to do. So I started to do those things as well.
Yeah, and that's and I love that you're haven't resigned to your couch and your dog only and Netflix, and so that a little bit of time you're starting to get out there. It's part of the process, and so is the exact place that you're in right now, which is noticing the red flags. And I'm jumping off too soon. All of this is perfect because this is part of the way that it's going to unfold into now being so healthy yourself that you're able to draw healthy people to you, and anything that you're doing that's worthy and valuable, it takes some time, and you have been a warrior in it. You've been patient, and you've been up and down, and it's such an incredible honor to be a part of that, and including just you coming on the radio and just talking about this again. Like you said, I think you're right there at 98% because you've done all the hard work, and then right around the corner is going to be some extraordinary opportunities coming. However, you just can't sabotage it right when it gets to 99. So
right.
let's stay the course. Let's stay patient. Let's keep talking about these things so that you can be reminded that, hey, I'm in a good spot right now. Compared to, Ellen 3.0 or Ellen 2.5 or whatever versions that wasn't conscious and proactive and, coming from a healthy context. your leaps and bounds beyond that now, and that's why I'm so excited for you. So you got some extraordinary things coming your way. Let's just stay the course. When we come back from the break, we're going to take it up a notch. I want you to go you want to go a little deeper? A little deeper. No.
Okay, I'll do it.
It's up to
Let's
you.
dive in.
Yeah, for sure. We'll take it up to a whole nother level. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, KHTS.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association is hosting our annual gala, The Art Classic, Saturday, September 29th from 1:30 to 5 p.m. This fundraiser highlights professionally judged original artwork by local artists in all mediums. For only $25, you can enjoy live music, wine, hors d'oeuvres, and meet the artists in person. The Art Classic will be held at Hart Hall in Hart Park. All artwork will be on display for free public viewing Sunday, September 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For tickets and more information, visit us at santaclaritaartists.org.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. I'm your host, hanging out with this beautiful lady, Ellen Tunick, my co-host. Today you're not in the hot seat this week.
I know.
Did you need a break or what?
I needed a little break from last week, but
Yeah,
I'm ready to have that break and then jump right in.
Well, we're actually not going to be on the air next Friday. We're going to take a little break, so you get a little time off.
I'm going to San Francisco.
All right.
So perfect.
I love that you're starting to enjoy your time off.
Yeah.
You're prepping yourself.
Yeah. And every time you say that, I go, yeah.
But today we have Ellen Como in the studio with us today, sharing and revealing and just being open and honest about where you are in your journey of romance.
Being single,
Being single,
being open, wanting, ultimately we're not meant to live alone. And if we are, we know that in our hearts. Some people are, some people are not.
Good point.
And I'm not, but that doesn't mean that my whole entire relationship here, history has been me always bending because I didn't want to be alone. And I'm not doing that anymore. And this is the first time in my life, and it's taken me, over 50 years to get it, that you want to be alone and get to know who you are first before you share yourself with anyone else. And so I was that serial dater, I was a monogamy addict, I want to call it, because that's what I wanted, was a relationship. And I'd sacrificed to get it. And this is the first time I finally stepped out and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't. I will not do this one more time in a relationship. But in anything, when we take a stand for ourselves, when we first take it, we're so clumsy with it that we take it overboard. Anytime
swing that pendulum so far. Yeah.
Have you met anyone that's passionate about anything? When they first get that passion, they will exhaust you with their passion, right? And then they kind of settle in to a really healthy, comfortable place. So I am, like you said, I'm like such a, I'm not doing this again, but there's that healthy balance that you need to find between I'm not doing this ever again, and I'm also not going to take it so far that before the poor guy walks in the door, I've already made up my mind. So, and I don't know, and I'm talking to other women out there who are dating, you could go either way. if you're out there right now and you're sacrificing yourself because you don't want to be alone, and you're allowing men to treat you in ways that are not appropriate to you and what feel comfortable for you because you don't want to be alone, you're much better off. Get in a coaching situation, spend some time alone, and then when you and be honest with yourself about when you're ready. And you're going to stick your foot out there and try, and you're going to go, whoops, not ready yet. Whoops, not ready yet. And you're going to do that, but it's okay. But to settle because you're in your 50s and think, oh, if I hear one more time, it's like, what is it, like time's not slowing down, or people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I hear that one more time, it's like, so what? That just means I'm supposed to settle into something that I'm not going to be, happy in, and I'm not going to be able to bring my best person.
You've chosen not to compromise.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And just because you're in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, you still shouldn't be compromising. And I just think that's a false belief that people have. Now you're not getting any younger, you better hurry up. It's like, no, are you kidding? I'm going to take all the time it needs and become my best friend, and then open up and finally open my life up to somebody and allow them in it with me. And then they will allow me into their world, and we can have a wonderful relationship. Was there a question in there? He's going, Ellen?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the question.
I do this a lot. He waits for my question.
No, it's great. It's great insight, and people need to hear that coming from you as well, because you've been learning all these things, and so having someone else say them, I'm sitting here inside going, awesome, because people need to hear that, especially the ones that haven't got to that stage or are struggling with it. As they're hearing you, they're going, man, I need to be listening to that. What's the question you have to get you past that hump and around that corner so that you can get more clarity on what's next for you?
Well, the 2%. What do I'm 98% there. I'm not 100% there. What does that 2% look like for me?
Well, for one, just you being okay with being at 98, if that's where you feel you're at, is just being okay with that. And not trying to rush it or force it or want it so bad that you end up sabotaging, all the work that you've done. You've heard the whole saying, you can take 10 steps forward and then take 20 steps back.
Right.
You don't want to do that. So that's what I'm saying is a lot of people, sometimes they're right there at the finish line. They're going, oh my God, I'm at the finish line.
I'm there.
And then they trip and fall, and then you bust your face open, and you never make it across the finish line.
Yeah.
So just, learn how to be in the moment, be present. Look back and be grateful. Sometimes just sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and look back and go, man, the last year and a half that you have been single, what a gift it's been. How many amazing gifts have you created from, just picking up your pieces and putting them back together and having these aha moments, and then gaining some more personal power and believing in yourself. Reconnecting back to that inner child and letting her come out and dance and play again. And I think about all the different corners that you've come around. You've done some amazing work, and I'm so proud of you. So sometimes it's just sit in it and acknowledge it and be grateful for it. And
but there must be something with the name Ellen. We're overachievers, and that's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, well, I do look. Can I tell you, I do that every morning. Every morning before my feet hit the floor, I thank God, I thank Alex, the people in my life that have been there to support me, and I also thank God and everyone around that's been supporting me that I'm not where I was a year and a half ago. I will never go back to being that person ever again. That person didn't work for me. I kind of navigated that person really well, but it really didn't work, where you're right, that inner child, that who I am, walking in the door and being able to let that inner child or that light of mine shine that I was always afraid to let out. And I look back at all the work that we've done and where we've come, and how many situations have come up in the last year and a half that I've handled completely different than I would have ever handled it in my whole entire life. How many opportunities that have come my way that I have not only grasped them, but I have conquered them and owned them in really good ways, not for myself, but for others as well. So taking that time and being single and working on yourself is not a cliche. It's an absolute in every way possible. And so I do that every day. Every day I think back to who I was a year and a half ago, and it's almost like it was a different person. It's like it didn't exist.
Well, it is a different person.
Yeah.
We are literally reinventing ourselves every single day. The only difference is are you doing it unconsciously or consciously? Because when you're doing it unconsciously, you don't see it as I'm a different person. When you're doing it consciously, you can look back and go, oh my God, like that version of me is like night and day.
Yep.
Right? Like you can literally, there's, you know, those years where you go, it's New Year's and you look back and you went, man, that year went fast. Right?
Yeah.
There's a good possibility that you lived that last year unconscious. But when you're living conscious and you're present every morning, and like you say, you're reflecting and looking at the gratitude and checking in with yourself, and you're living in the present moment every day, all day long, you look back at New Year's and you go, man, look at, man, the things that I created and the accomplishments and the growth. It doesn't feel like it went by fast. Like I was able to create some amazing, extraordinary
It's a
things.
really interesting concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's where the awareness comes from. That's where at a certain point you got to decide, I want that. I want to live my life like that with that kind of clarity. And what it takes is for you to be willing to say, maybe I need the H word. You know what the H word is? It's a 4-letter word.
Help.
Yes, help. Most of us don't want to ask for help. Most of us don't want to seek help. Most of us don't want to say, maybe I need somebody to help me walk me through this process.
Nothing wrong with course correction.
Or they've tried help before, but it wasn't the right help for what they needed, or they weren't ready for the help
It's
yet.
a great point. It's a great point. A lot of times we say we want help, except we don't come with an open mind. We don't come surrendered. We don't come willing to really, or maybe the commitment level's not there. So there are many reasons why it hasn't worked before. But the trick is at what point are you going to say, all right, I'm just going to get off of wherever I'm have settled for and just decide to re-ante up again. It's just about re-anting up again. And when you're ready, there are people there ready to support you and challenge you and champion you and push you past whatever threshold was the last one that you just decided, you know, that's where I'm going to stop and watch
I was
Netflix.
guarded with Alex for a very long time. I have, my personality is I don't want to ever let anybody down. I don't want anyone to, you know, so I would show up trying not to let Alex down, so I would sit in that session.
Okay. How did that look to you? I mean, how could you have let him down?
I didn't want to let him down. I wanted to be that perfect student. And even if I was struggling, I didn't want him to know what I was struggling or having challenges in, because I didn't want to let Alex down. So that's how I started.
And that's common for people when they start.
Yeah.
It's not until at a certain point they start developing their own results. Now, had she at that time or any time had shared that with me, that would be something that would be course corrected. But for me, I'll take you however I can take you. If you're coming in and you're hungry and it's not to let me down, just like the teen trainings. When the parents bring their kids, 98% of them don't want to be there.
For sure.
Right? They don't want to be there, and they're there with their hoodies on and they're pissed off. But after the first 3 or 4 hours of me speaking to their greatness and reminding them how extraordinary they are, and I'm believing in them when they don't believe themselves, and all of a sudden their knees shaking, and then they decide that they're there now because they want to be there. So for Ellen, a little bit of time, she started to see the value, started to see some results, started to be more mindful and noticing things. And every time we sat together and she shared those, we're doing high fives and I'm pointing out the learning process. So then all of a sudden, I'm assuming that at a certain point, all that shifted where it wasn't, you weren't coming from, I want to impress you or I don't want to let you down, to now like, no, I don't want to let me down.
Yeah, well, and
right?
There was that moment of me just saying it's time to just, it needs to go. It like almost like
Just
this all
shed,
needs,
like
it needs
a
to
snake
shed.
sheds its skin.
Yeah, it's time to go.
The games
It's
that we
time-
play, right, as human beings, the
Yes,
rackets.
all of it. It just everything had to go, and I had to step out, being vulnerable, authentic, and raw.
The vulnerability part's my hardest part.
Challenging.
Challenging.
I
I don't learn very fast, do I?
It's almost like you have a buzzer underneath you telling me.
I do. You can't see it. It's a
Poor
shocker.
Ellen, every now and then she is.
The vulnerability part, the exposure,
Yeah.
is challenging for me.
Yeah, and the reason why I give you the word challenging, because challenging implies we can overcome it. When we say something's hard, it's hard, this is hard, and you've seen this in workouts, right? When people go, I can't do this, hard, and then it's like, no.
You can do this.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure,
Yes.
sure. And then all of a sudden, when they push past that threshold and they do it, they go, oh,
I can do it.
I can do it. And then now it's not hard anymore. But if you keep telling yourself it's challenging, that implies it might be challenging, but you still overcome and break through
Challenging
it. Right?
is fine with me.
Yeah.
So you
But the word, but sometimes the words, being aware of the words
Yes.
is important.
Like reframing the word.
The beauty about vulnerability is, well, first of all, you have to trust who you're working with before you become vulnerable. We should not be walking out in the world vulnerable to everything and everybody. So you have to put yourself in a really safe environment. And I don't think anybody can tell you specifically when you feel safe with someone. I think everybody's going to be at a different timing where they feel safe and they feel trusting. And at that point, if you do not become vulnerable, you're hurting yourself in so many ways.
Are you vulnerable when you go out on these dates?
No, because I don't know these people. I don't know who they are. They haven't, and I believe, you can maybe, of course, correct me right now. I don't believe they deserve that until I get to know them and know that they have know who they are first. I don't want to just be vulnerable.
I think your understanding of vulnerable is something different than my understanding of vulnerable.
Okay.
So my understanding of vulnerable is, it's not like I'm not going to let you in because that's sacred and you got to prove yourself to me first. Vulnerable to me just means that I'm just bringing all my fears down. I'm bringing my guards down, and I'm not going to let those fears and those insecurities get in the way of just me interacting with you and connecting. So there's different levels and there's different meanings to vulnerability depending on your growth. As you grow and as your context grows, so does the word and the depths of vulnerability. So it just depends on where you're at. For you, vulnerability obviously is, no, I'm not going to let you in because I've been hurt so many times. So I got to first find out if I give you pieces of my heart, I'm going to test you to see if you're going to handle it with care. Mm-hmm. And when you've proven that, then I'm going to bring more and more of my walls down.
Exactly.
And there's no right or wrong to how you go about vulnerability. But as you master that art, you're able to be more vulnerable more times with more people that don't have to earn it. And they don't really hurt you anymore to the way that you were hurt before.
Because I'm open. I mean, I'm friendly. I'm open. I'm, I'm not walking in with with a wall in front of me. But as the night or the moments click on, then all of a sudden it's just wait a minute. Okay, no. And it could be just I haven't met anybody that is. For me.
You haven't met anyone that's gotten past the 3 strikes.
That's right.
Or the red flags.
That's right. I haven't. Now, it doesn't mean, and maybe that's just, maybe it's that simple. And maybe, like I've told Alex before, I am looking for kind of a needle in a haystack. And he said that will then become the magnet. And I love that answer. So, so again, it's, because you remind me, Ellen, so much of my friends who are always wanting to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and that's what has gotten me in so much trouble in the past, is giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. So I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm saying the way I interpret it was wrong for me and how I approach the relationships. Does that? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for me, when I'm coaching single people when they want to date, I'm trying to get them to focus on the connection. Looking at, are you creating a connection? Is there an authentic connection there?
Yes.
And if there's not, forget the red flags. If there's not a connection,
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, because you can't force a connection. There's either a connection or there's not.
That is so true.
Yeah, and I haven't, really, and the couple men that I did feel a slight bit of connection just moved way too quickly for me. Now, they might not be moving too quickly for somebody else, but I'm also very open about it. And you need to go slow with me. That's what I want. I want to get to know you as my friend first. I don't want to be sitting across the table. And if there's women listening, you're probably going to get this. You're sitting across the table and you feel like prey. They're just, you know what I mean? Almost
they're ready to leap.
Yeah, they're ready to leap. And if you're a guy, knock it off. Don't do that anymore. Just if it's a guy listening right now, I got to tell you, it's such a turnoff to a woman. You are not you're not endearing us to you. What you're doing is you're making us run from you. And the only girl that's going to be endearing to that is a girl that really has low self-esteem, very needy, and you're gonna end up, whoever this guy is that's jumping on this other girl. Then you say every woman I get together with is crazy. No, it's only the crazy ones that put up with your garbage of being that way. So I need to say that out loud. I'm glad. Okay, I feel better. I got that on my chest. So, but.
And I want to remind you, you are actually looking for that needle in a haystack.
I am.
However, when you're going through the hay and you're telling me, Alex, I've looked at all these different pieces of metal that seem to be like, they look like a needle, but they're not. And then the red flags go off, letting me know that those aren't needles, those are spikes.
Yep.
So I just got to keep reminding you, if you're looking for a needle in a haystack, it's not going to be 1, 2, 3, easy peasy.
Mm-mm.
You're going to have to go the distance to find the needle. So, and it kind of, to kind of put a whole bubble around it, the game that you're talking about, the ones that are ready just to kind of leap over the table, those are the unconscious ones. And they're looking for the pretty unconscious ones. And if you are not unconscious anymore and you're more aware and more conscious and more, you're able to see the game, see the racket, see the narcissism. You're able to spot all that. That's why you're able to see the red flags right away. Mm-hmm. But that's not a curse. That is a gift. And so sometimes I got to keep reminding you in our sessions. And you're like, oh, my God. I think she has this number in her head. She's like, I just went through number 68 or whatever it is. And I got to remind her, I got to go remember that you said you wanted the needle. Yeah. And in order to get the needle, you might have to go through 200 more.
Yeah.
So
to
good
find
for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm willing.
But it's all perspective, right? Because
Yeah.
you can look at it and go, it's very easy to just come back going, are there not any, good guys out there anymore? And I'm like, yeah, there are. However, they're rare, and they're conscious, loving, compassionate, authentic human beings that either have been working on themselves or they never really got so dysfunctional in the beginning that they're just where they're at. And you're gonna have to, like I said, be that magnet to draw them to you, and you're getting there.
I have to keep remembering I'm rare.
That's right.
And I'm all those
sure.
things.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that is what I'm going to wait for.
And that's how you attract your counterpart.
And thank you for pointing that out about, I just want to make people happy. You do it your way.
Yeah.
You do it your way.
Yeah, it's so true. We have to. And we have to find what that way is, and it's going to look different for everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone has a different history that they come with. So, but again, the history has gotten them where they are today, which is where they don't want to be. And that's where you need to go to a coach or somebody that can kind of take your history and put it to rest and give you the tools to get through that history, to change the ending of your book. It's funny, when I said history, I thought I saw this like book, but kind of to change you need that writer to come in and help you with the ending. You can't do that on your own. So you do need that. And I'm willing to stay the course. And I've been, and I do, it is funny because some of the stories I come in to and tell Alex, I have actually one or two unbelievable ones I'm going to tell him the next time I see him privately. But that it's just, these things that happen, I just,
and trust me, they all make for an amazing book. I think you should actually write one.
I should write a book.
Absolutely.
My adventures in dating.
And maybe when we come back, as we wrap up the show, we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. But stay tuned. We got to take a break. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
Something big is coming to Castaic.
Is it a dinosaur, Bob?
No, Blanche.
Is it the 2020 Olympics?
No.
I know. We're finally hosting the World Cup.
No, silly. They're building Castaic High.
Bob, no way.
Go visit CastaicHighProject.com. You'll get all the latest details.
What's that web address again, Bob?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Again?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Bigger than a dinosaur?
That's right, CastaiCHighProject.com.
Are you ready for some football? Consumers Furniture is. Come on in and check out our huge selection of power motion furniture. We have the largest selection of reclining sectionals, sofas, love seats, and recliners in the Santa Clarita Valley. Fabric or leather, Consumers has the right piece at the right price to make your home ready for all the big games. Need it for this Saturday or Sunday? No problem. Consumers has same-day or next-day delivery on most of our items. Consumers Furniture is located in the Center Point Shopping Center right below Sam's Club and Walmart.
KHTS.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. If you're just joining us, we've been talking to Ellen Como, and you have been courageously and authentically sharing your journey, and I appreciate that. You know, the purpose of the show really was to give people an insight on what coaching looks like, and really to kind of highlight all the champions that I sit with that really inspire me, because you really got to be willing, got to be a warrior first of all, and you got to be willing to tell on yourself. And you got to be willing to out yourself. And, you know, I mean, what's the point of having somebody help you? It's like having an attorney that's going to defend you and you're hiding the truth. Like you got to, no, really, you got to come in and go, all right, this is what I did, and these are the stupid choices I made or whatever. So then they go, all right, now that I know all that, let's figure out how to, help you win. And so in order to help you win, you got to tell your coach some of the things that, that you even don't even want to say out loud because you're either embarrassed or whatever it is. But once you get honest with yourself and start revealing that, then we can get in there together as a team and start really kind of fine-tuning some things. And that's where the aha moments come from. But I feel like the average person's ego is so huge and so rampant that we just don't want to look at ourselves. And God forbid me turn to somebody and share with them some of the things that I'm doing. But once you finally get past that hump, all of a sudden it gets easier. Does it not get easier to kind of just start going, all right, this is what I did this weekend, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, or I walk in and just, I did, or what I didn't do this weekend,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's what I didn't do.
But now you're a champ. Now we come in and it's like, all right, let's do a check-in. You're like, all right, Alex, this is it. This is what I did. And it's like, all right, cool. And then from there, there's no judgment. There's no beat up. There's just like, hey, that happens, and this is how we course correct it.
Exactly. And we all, everybody that's going to start is going to start with their guard up. Almost everyone, because if we didn't have our guard ups, we probably would be aware and not really, we'd be a lot farther than we are. And so, however your guard up looks for you, take your time, get to know. Like with Alex, I felt safe. So, and that safety grew over time. The trust grows over time. So if you're expecting to see a life coach and within 2 weeks your life's starting to change, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You need to be as committed to yourself. And commitment to me, it's the same thing in my gym. I see it this time and time again. I want to get healthy. I want to lose weight. And they put a commitment of a 4 out of 10 in there, or a 2 out of 10, and they want to change. They're not going to get a change. Or it's been 3 weeks. My whole body hasn't changed. It's not going to change in 3 weeks. Same thing with coaching. You can't just I'm just going to go get a coach for 3 months and change my life. No, but you will start to change your life, and you'll have 3 months of coaching behind you to be able to use. But sometimes I think that's a dangerous point, because you'll know just enough to hurt yourself more. And that's a really pivotal part of coaching. You can get to that place. You don't know just enough, and
to be dangerous.
To get your, to be confident and jump into the pool, but you didn't learn how to swim to the end yet.
The premise for some people is, okay, I'm going to go get a coach. I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to work out. Just in that phrase, that says there's a beginning and an end.
Yep. When
really there's a beginning, there's never an end, because you just keep going and working on it and challenging yourself and growing.
Yeah, it's not a quick thing. It's a commitment that you make. But I can't think of anything better to commit to than yourself and your growth. Because as you grow, the people that you love around you, you become a better asset for them.
No question.
So your growth just isn't about you. It's about the people that you love. And it's about the relationships with the people that are the closest to you, that maybe you are now showing up different. So all your relationships are better with them. then you're allowing them to be better in who they are, because now you're opening up and allowing them to be that person too. So it's not just about you and your little world. It's going in and coaching reaches so much farther than yourself. So if you're not even doing it for yourself, if you see yourself having bad relationships or the people around you struggling, do it for them first. And then you're going to learn a lot about yourself in that.
Well, that's how I end up getting a lot of clients. They'll show up to my door and say, hey, I got this 14-year-old kid. I need you to fix him. And then I look at them and I smile and I go, all right, I'll start working with your son. And start working with the son. And it's 3 or 4 sessions with the son, and it's an update with mom or dad, and then 3 or 4 more sessions, and it's 2 updates with mom or dad. And somehow I'm coaching the parents, and the parents now have realized, wow, I'm the source of all of my son's dysfunction, insecurities, sadness, and all that kind of stuff. Once you can now take responsibility for that, you are the source of all of your results, all of your relationships, and you can start and being willing to be open to changing yourself. Everyone around you starts to adapt, and everyone else starts to become better because you're being better. You're being more effective at your life.
And that's a gift.
Yeah, they become
if you're able to see it like that. A lot of people are still unwilling to see it like that because that means, you mean, Alex, I got to change?
Oh.
You mean, can't you just fix my kid? No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, you were why your kid got to where they are sitting in front of me. So
right. However,
you don't say it that way. He's nicer than I am.
Well, I have to be because, you know, I'm compassionate for parents. Like, I know what it's like to be frustrated, unaware, unconscious, and thinking, right? Because society says when kids are broken and hurt, go take them to a psychologist or a therapist or an expert to help them.
A professional of some sort.
Yeah, and I'm not downing or bad-mouthing therapy, because therapeutic services help heal people. However, if you think you're just going to fix the other person and that there's nothing that's a byproduct of your dysfunctioning that's in play, you're mistaken. You have to be working on yourself as well. If you start course correcting you're going to start noticing everyone else around you, and the results around you start to adjust themselves. Because you can't go from broken relationship to broken relationship going, man, it's all of them. There's got to be something wrong with all of them.
You keep pointing out instead of turning
instead of going, what's the common denominator in all of my broken relationships?
Well, that's what I walked into Alex, and I said, Alex, there is something wrong with me. This keeps happening. And I even say that to him even the last week or so. I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with me here because this keeps happening around me. If it keeps happening around me, the only common denominator in all of this is me. So you have to be willing to take that risk.
We got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes. You're welcome. I'm so excited. I love you back, and I'm so glad. And I'm glad to be with the other.
Thanks for joining us on the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.